In this Blender tutorial, I'll show you how to create this procedural giraffe fur pattern material. And then I also wanted to preview what the fur pattern would look like on a giraffe model. So I downloaded this giraffe model from BlendSwap. I'll have a link in the description if you want to download the same model. So after we create the procedural material, I'll also show you how to join it together into this custom node group. So we have the scale value to change the size of the entire material. Then we also just have the pattern scale. And then we also have the pattern distortion. Then we have two detail levels, so detail 1 and detail 2, and then we have the pattern color, which is kind of that lighter color. Then we also have the fur color 1, which is the brown color, and then fur color 2, which is that black color. And then we also have the fur darkness, so you can make it lighter or darker. And then we also have the pattern thickness to make that pattern thinner or thicker. And then we have the fur scale. We also have the bump strength of that fur surface. And then we have some sheen values because I turned up the sheen because I wanted to give it kind of that look that makes it look a little bit like fabric or cloth because it is fur. So we have the sheen tint. Then we also have the sheen weight, and then also the sheen roughness. And if you'd like to help support the channel and purchase this procedural material, you can get that on my Gumroad store and Patreon page with the links in the description. And you can also check out my Ultimate Blender Procedural Material Pack if you'd like to purchase all of my materials. And my Ultimate Material Pack comes with all of my materials pre-set up for Blender's asset browser with custom thumbnails, sorted catalogs, and customizable node groups. You can also purchase any of my materials individually on my Gumroad store. And to learn how to create more procedural materials, you can check out my Blender Procedural Material Tutorial playlist here on YouTube. And then one more thing before we start, I wanted to let you know about a really great Blender add-on for easy, fast texture baking. Oven is an amazing Blender add-on for speeding up the baking process. Start by UV unwrapping your objects. You can then select the objects that you want to bake. You can then choose what maps to bake, like the color, roughness, normal, metallic, and more maps. Then choose your preferred settings, like where to export the textures, the file name, file type, and texture size. Then hit bake and the add-on will automatically bake all the textures and export them to your computer. Then click the recreate materials button and the add-on will automatically replace the material with a new material using the bake textures. You can find my full add-on review video with the link in the description, and by purchasing through my link, you'll be helping to support this channel. So real quick, I'll just show you what I have set up in the 3D viewport if you want to set up the blend file the same way that I have. So I went to the add menu and I added an icosphere, and then right behind me on the add icosphere settings, I just turned the subdivisions up to 6 so it is nice and smooth and round. And I'm going to shade the object smooth, and then I'll scale the object down by 0.2, and I will press Ctrl A and apply the scale. Then to add in the giraffe model, you can click on File, and you can click on Append, and you can locate to the folder with the giraffe model. Again, I'll have a link in the description to the model on BlendSwap if you want to download it. You can go into the Animals Blender file, and then you can go to Object, and then you can just select the giraffe model, and then you can scale it down. Let's move it down here, let's rotate it over, and I'll press Ctrl A and apply the scale. Then I also added a camera, and I just pointed the camera at the objects, and if I go over here to the object data properties of the camera, I turn the focal length up to 104 just to kind of zoom the camera in a bit so it looks a bit more flat, and I like the look of that better. And then let's go into the rendered viewport mode. So I also added a few lights. So I added this big area light kind of on the back, and I turned the power to 60. Then this one here, this is just another light that I duplicated. And then I also added some HDRI lighting. So if I go here to the world properties, I added in this Photo Studio 01 1K HDRI from polyhaven.com. I'll have the link in the video description if you'd like to download it. And I downloaded the 1K version and the HDR version on Polyhaven. So once you download the HDRI, you can click on this yellow dot next to color, and you can choose environment texture, and then just click on the open button and open up the HDRI. And then let's go up here to the render properties. I'm going to be using the Cycles rendering engine because I'm going for realism, but you could also use Eevee if you want to. I'm also going to open up the film tab here and turn on the transparent button so the background is transparent. And I'll also use the color management of AGX, and I'll set the look to very high contrast. So I'm going to go over to the shading workspace. So I now have the 3D viewport right over here, and I'm in the rendered mode, and I have the shader editor right here. So I'll just select an object and add a new material, and I can just rename the material. And then I'll also click and drag and drop the material onto this object so they both have the same material. And then I'll also be using the Node Wrangler add-on in the video. So if you don't have the Node Wrangler enabled, you can click on Edit, you can go to the Preferences, and if you go to the Add-ons tab, you can search for Node and just enable the Node Wrangler add-on, and I'll show you how to use it in in the video. So what I first want to do is go to the add menu, and I'm going to search for a Voronoi texture. Let's Control Shift and select the Voronoi to preview it. And I'm also going to press Control T with the Voronoi texture selected. That's going to add the texture coordinate and mapping nodes. And I want to use the object coordinates, so we're going to plug the object into the vector. And the object coordinates will place the textures on the object more evenly. And then right here on the scale of the Voronoi, I'm going to turn this up to a 25. And also I'm going to change the F1 to distance to edge, so we have that cool pattern. Now I want to add a bit of detail to it. So in between the mapping and the Voronoi, I'm going to search for a noise texture, and I'll drop it here. So the noise texture is going through the vector, so it's distorting the placement of the Voronoi. So now let's change some of the settings of the noise. So I'll turn the noise texture scale to 8. I'm also going to turn the detail to 8, and then I'll leave the other settings how they are. Now that's distorted way too much, so to have the noise texture have less of an effect over the Voronoi, I'll go to the add menu, and I'll search for a mix color, and we'll put this between the two textures there. Now this mapping vector here, which isn't distorted at all, that is going to go into color A, and then we're going to take the factor of the noise texture, and we're going to put that into color B. And then let's take the mix here, and we're going to change this to linear light, and that way when I drag around the factor, it will distort the texture, but it won't move it around so much. So now here on the factor, I'm going to turn this to a very small number of 0.03, so it's very subtle, but now if you look around the edges, you can see that there is some distortion. So I now want to make this more contrasty, so we're going to add a color ramp. We'll put the color ramp up here, and then I can drag the white tab over to about the middle so that it's more contrasty. And then let's make the custom colors. So to make the custom colors, I'm going to add a mix color node. We'll put this after the color ramp, and the color ramp color can go into the factor. This way we can now change color A and B to change the two colors. So for color A, I'm going to make this like the light brown, and for color B, this is going to be the very dark brown color. And if you want to use the same exact colors that I'm using, then color B will be a hex value of zeros, so it's going to be fully black. So just punch in 6 zeros, and then here for color A, this is going to be a hex value of 80521C. Now I also want to search for a hue saturation value node, and we're going to put that between the Voronoi and the color ramp, because now this value is going to control it to make it lighter or darker. So we'll be using that later in the custom node group. Now let's select both of these two nodes here, and I'll press Ctrl Shift D to duplicate the nodes but keep the wires plugged up, and let's Ctrl Shift and select it to preview it. And this texture here is just going to be that pattern. So I'm going to drag the white tab over here, and then also drag the black tab over here, and we'll drag this really close so it's just the pattern. And then if I drag this value on the hue saturation value, that's going to make the pattern thicker and less thick. So now I want to mix this color ramp into this mix here. So I'll select the mix and I'll duplicate it. And we're going to put this top mix into color B, and then this color ramp color, that is going to go into the factor. So now I can Control Shift and select the mix. And here on color A, I can make this that light color. So we're going to make it kind of like a light peachy color. And the hex value for color A is going to be E5BF90. So now the mix result can go into the base color, and I can Control Shift and select the principled shader to preview it. And then let's also turn the roughness up a bit. So I'll turn the roughness to a 0.75 so the shader is a bit more rough. Let's also open up the sheen settings right here. We can add some sheen. So the sheen weight, I'll turn to 0.5. This is going to make it look a little bit more like cloth, so it'll look more like fur. And then for the sheen tint, I'm going to use this color here. It's kind of like an orangey reddish color. And the hex value for this one is going to be BF6758. So you can punch that in if you want to use the same exact color I'm using. So now I just want to add some surface bump to make it look more like fuzzy fur. So I'll go to the add menu, and we're going to add a noise texture. And then let's take the original mapping here, and we'll put that into the vector, the noise texture. Let's Control Shift and select the noise texture to preview it. And I can change some of the settings. So I'll turn the scale to 30, and I'll turn the detail up to the max of 15, and I'll turn the roughness to a 0.79. So now I can take this factor here, the noise, and let's put it into the normal, and I'll Control Shift and select the principled shader to preview it. Now there's some weird shading issues, and that's because we need to convert the black and white data into normal data. So to do this, we're going to add a bump node. Let's put the bump node right here. And we want the factor to be going into the height value of the bump to convert it to bump data. And then I'll turn the strength down to like a 0.4 so it's not quite as bumpy. So now we have that cool fur texture. So that is it for the procedural material. So I'll now show you how to join it together into a custom node group. So I'll box select all the nodes, and I'll press Ctrl G to join it together into a node group. Now if you hit the tab key with the node group selected, that will go in and out of the node group. So I'll drag the node group over here. Let's make it bigger, and then I'll copy the material name and I'll paste it here in the node group, so it's called giraffe fur. So we'll go back into the node group. I'll hit the N key to open up the side panel, and if we go to the group tab, we can rename this BSDF. So I'll rename this to shader, because I like that better. So now we have this group input, and we can plug values up to the group input to control them outside of the node group. So this mapping node is plugged up to all the textures, so we can take the scale and we can put that into the group socket there, the group input, and that way this scale value will control the size of the entire material. Now I want it to be 1 value instead of 3. You can see right here there's 3 values. So we'll change the type from vector to float, and then we need to turn the default value to 1. And then if we go outside of the node group, we need to turn the scale to 1. So we'll go back into the node group. Now I also want to control the pattern scale. So let's take the Voronoi scale and we'll put that into the group input. And I'll rename this to pattern scale. Let's also add this factor right here in the linear light. We'll put that into the extra socket, and I'll rename this to pattern distortion. Then I want to control some detail values. So we'll take the noise texture detail, put that into the extra socket, and the roughness, put that into the extra socket. And this one I'll rename to detail 1, and the roughness I'll rename to detail 2. Then I want to control the colors. So I'll drag the group input over here, and let's first take the pattern color, this lighter one, we'll put that into the extra socket. We'll rename this to pattern color, and then we'll take the lighter one, put that into the extra socket, and the darker one, put that into the extra socket. And I'll rename this to fur color 1 and fur color 2. Now we have this hue saturation value right here, the top one, and the value is going to make the fur lighter and darker. So I'll put the value into the extra socket, and I'll rename this to fur darkness. Then we have this hue saturation value here, which is going to make the pattern thicker or less thick. So I'll put the value into the extra socket, and we'll rename this to pattern thickness. Then I want to control the fur scale, so we'll take the noise texture down here, I'll put the scale into the extra socket, and let's rename this to fur scale. And then I want to control all the sheen settings, so I'll drag the group input right down here. And I also want to control the bump strength, so let's actually do that first. So I'll put the bump strength into the extra socket, and I'll rename this to bump strength. And then for the sheen settings, we're first going to put the tint into the extra socket, so it's sheen tint. Then we'll take the sheen weight, put that into the extra socket, and the sheen roughness, put that into the extra socket. So I'll drag the node group back over here. I'll hit the N key to close the side panel, and we'll hit tab to go out of the node group. Let's make this bigger, and we can now review the finished procedural material. So I have the scale value. We also have just the pattern scale and the pattern distortion. Then we have 2 levels of detail. Then we have the pattern color, and that kind of looks really cool if you make it a darker color. That looks pretty cool. And then we have the 2 different fur colors, so fur color 1 and fur color 2. We also have the fur darkness. Then we have the pattern thickness. We also have the fur scale and the bump strength. And then we also have the sheen tint. Then we have the sheen weight and the sheen roughness. So that will be it for this tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. And if you'd like to help support this channel and purchase the project files, you can get this material with the links in the description. You can also check out my Ultimate Blender Procedural Material Pack if you'd like to purchase all of my materials. And you can purchase my Procedural Material Packs, which are packs of 10 materials. And to learn how to create all of my procedural materials, you can check out my Blender Procedural Material Tutorial playlist here on YouTube. The links are all in the description. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.